everybody, how are you today? Thank you for watching my videos and giving me such a love, and really appreciate your time and efforts that you're putting in, and I hope these videos are helping you. Today I have a woman in business sitting with me, and what should I tell you about her, what she does? And I'm so happy to introduce her because she is like me, a multipreneur. She got a coaching business. She's a camera woman as well. She does Hamilton City Beautiful as well. She does Waikato Woman in Business and whatnot. And she is none other than Anna Petchell from Hamilton. Hi Anna, how are you today?
Good, thanks. I appreciate your ability to be able to bring all those back, so thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but it's really nice to meet you at the Waikato Women in Business event, and when you told me about it, when I heard everything about you, and I was like, oh my god, thank god. I sometimes question myself thinking, oh, I do so many things, why I do it, but then you are there and giving me an example why you do it.
Yeah.
So tell me about your journey, what you have, like what all experience do you have and all of those things.
Yeah, it's interesting because that whole being a multipreneur and multi-potential I think is awesome, and I think it's something that a lot of people, especially as children, it's something that's not really encouraged and something that's not highly regarded, and yet it's something that's amazing to be able to have, like the ability to do many things and to be able to be passionate about a lot of things at the same time. So it's awesome to be able to meet other people like-minded in that sense. So going back a little bit, I started in television, and I started as a camera operator and a floor manager, and I worked in television for 6-7 years, and working mainly studio based, but also freelancing and doing other sports and live events and all this other stuff. And then after that I went travelling for about a year, and worked and lived in Austria and around Europe and Eastern Europe and Western Europe and everything, and then got into the super yacht industry, and was in there for 7.5 years. And when I got into there, I really wanted to work on deck or be an engineer. And much like television, which was a very male-dominated industry in the sense that girls didn't typically do engineering and those sort of roles, and so struggled my way through quite a few years of trying to get on deck as much as I could, and then got my captain's license and my 200 ton, and then got deckhand roles and bosun roles and second officer roles and stuff like that, and went down that path. And then in the last couple of years, my partner and I, who also was a first officer, when we went to leave, it was kind of like, oh, where do we go, what do we do, what do I do now? And there was a bit of an identity crisis going, well, what do I actually do? Do I go back into TV? I want to still be able to do something exciting and new and fun, and couldn't really work out where I was going to go. And while I was going through that, I thought, what do I love? I love to help people. I love to be able to help explore things with other people, and find out people's true strengths within them and bring that out of them. And so in that time I was talking to a lot of career change people and career advisors, and no one really clicked. They didn't understand the industry I was coming from, and there was a gap in the market. And so then I started my own business, my coaching business, around helping yacht crew transition out of the super yacht industry, because it was a bit of a gap in the market that needed help. And you've got these amazing, talented, skilled professionals who have got so many incredible talents and so much potential, but they don't know where to go and how to use those, because they don't necessarily look like they replicate into the outside world.
Yep.
And so I started doing that, and was doing that online and part of a platform, Life After Yachting. And then when I got back to New Zealand last year, just before COVID, I found that lots of other people were struggling as well. A lot of other people in New Zealand and around the world were struggling and having, midlife, quarter-life crises, because they were unhappy, they were miserable, they were doing jobs they hated and felt stuck. And it was that same kind of feeling, and I could kind of see how they also were dealing with the same thing, and this loss of identity and not knowing who they were. And so I started helping people, land-based people, doing the same thing, and like really getting clear on who they are and discovering their inner compass, because until you know that, it's really hard to navigate your way through life.
That's true.
And when you actually use what you're really good at and do what you're passionately driven to do, it's so much easier to get through life. So yeah, I started doing that, and then when I got home last year, I also thought I really didn't know many people in the Waikato, and so I went to an event one night, and I thought, being in the world of like being a digital nomad by this stage, and traveling a lot, I wanted to surround myself with like-minded entrepreneurs and people who were in that space.
Yep.
And so myself and another girl started Waikato Women in Business in a way to support and promote and empower and connect like female entrepreneurs who were doing amazing things.
Yep.
So we started getting into that, and that's now been going for about a year, and it's grown to over 1,000 members, which is amazing. And the other thing was that I had spent so many years at sea. In the last couple of years, I realized what the waste pollution problem was, and just seeing, like, trying to reduce our waste on the boat and trying to reduce what we were using. But ultimately, we were adding to such a global problem, and the waste in the oceans and the marinas. And I was running cleanups and buying things on the boat to, do pickups and stuff in marinas and beaches and reducing our waste. But ultimately, it was still adding to the problem. And so when I got back here, I had already been doing cleanups and running cleanups around the world and attending other ones. And when I got back to New Zealand, I thought, there's got to be something here. And there was nothing at all. And so nothing in the Waikato anyway. And so recently I started Keep Hamilton Beautiful as a way to connect people together, to provide a community and a space for people to be able to all do something good. Because I think sometimes people want to be able to do good, but they don't know how and they don't know what to do. And that's one of my things that I love doing, is like finding a problem, solving it, and like getting the momentum and people together and supporting them to do that. So yeah, and that's where I'm at the moment.
Interesting. There's so many things. Which one to pick up first? But who is Anna personally?
I am driven and fueled by adventure and exploration and travel, and I just love people, connecting people. I love adventure and just seeing new things and meeting new people and talking to new people and experiencing new things all the time. I love seeing the positivity and the opportunities that there are in the world, because I think there's so many out there. Other things that is me is like I really like kite surfing and snowboarding.
Wow.
Yeah, really awesome sports that I haven't done either of for a little bit, but really cool. And just like, I like having I like being a bit of a nomad, because I think I'm a bit more of a, we're all part of like the world and like global citizens, and I think it's awesome to be able to have friends everywhere around the world and be able to do stuff wherever you are in the world and kind of move around and do that. So that's a big part of who I am.
That's very nice to hear about. In terms of TV industry, when you entered the TV industry, obviously it was male dominated. So tell me about your experience over there, and how did you think you made it in the TV industry? That was the biggest challenge, I would say, because it's not easy to actually create yourself in the male dominated industry.
Yeah, I think yachting and television both had that same problem, and I don't know what, I'm not sure. I think I saw like there's a problem, I need to go and make change, create a bit of a stir. Not that that's what I was doing, and not in an aggressive way, but
no, we're never competing with anybody. We're competing with ourselves. But just what was the motivation and what challenges did you face during that time?
Many. So getting into TV, it was back in 04, 05. I first entered the industry as a auto queue operator. And working at TV3, and that was cool, but then all I wanted to do was be a field camera, and I wanted to work on like Intrepid Travel and these travel camera work. And at that time, female camera ops in the industry was very, very minimal. There were some, but there weren't many. And so trying to get in was quite a challenge, but I kept just putting myself out there all the time, like, I want to go, can I come, can I assist, can I do this? I then went and worked with Screen Time and worked for Police 10-7 for a few years, and was doing that, but that was again a real struggle to get into camera work, and ended up getting a job back at TV3 doing camera work there. And so started doing that more, and started doing more OB stuff and doing like more outside broadcast kind of shoots and stuff. But ultimately, still at that time, in those, like before 2010, it was still very much a male dominated, like you go on a shoot and you be camera 17 up in the highest point or something, and so it was quite tough. And when it came to, we had a big redundancy, and I actually thought, I probably can leave now and I'll go over to the UK and start over there and try and like get into that industry, because I knew at that point there were already more females in that industry than there were in ours, but ultimately I ended up going in a different direction and have freelanced ever since. But still now in the industry itself, there are not a lot of females. There are some, but it's still probably, I don't know, 70-80% male, if not more, to female ratio. So yeah,
that's good, but it's not easy, and you start now you're getting work as well, and you don't have, and you just say this much and they don't negotiate, right?
Yeah, no, now it's like I'm coming in as someone who is experienced, because I've got, more
UK
than,
and everything.
Well, I didn't actually work in the UK in television, but but now I've got years experience under myself, and also a bit of time in the industry, so I think you get a little bit more respect when you've got that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but and then you are transitioning from TV industry, going to a new country and starting into your kind of work. How's that started?
Yeah, in the super yacht industry, I actually I travelled for maybe 7 months and was just travelling around Europe, and like I loved the fact of when you travel and just being like, have no plan, don't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. I just wanted to go to Greece, and at the time I didn't know Europe at all, and I kept just going to train stations and bus stations and just buying tickets that were south, anywhere, just going south.
Really?
Yeah, and so I just travelled and met people as I went, and it was awesome. Like I really, really loved the travelling. And then the whole time I was like, I've got to get to Austria. It was just it was on my mind. I got to Greece, but I didn't actually end up working there. But I got to Austria, and then I ended up going around and door knocking on 32 different places, basically asking for somewhere to live and somewhere to work. And I Google translated a little statement, and went and door knocked all these places, and everyone kept turning me down. And either I didn't have the right passport, I wasn't legal there, or to work, or I wasn't, I didn't have experience because I'd come from television, not from hospitality. And then so eventually got a job and did that for however many months, and then as I was about to leave, someone said, because I was like, I don't really want to go to the UK and just get into proper work, I want to go and do something else, something, different. And someone had mentioned, you can go and work on these boats in the south of France in the Mediterranean, and I thought, I don't really want to be a cleaner. That doesn't sound exciting. But then I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. So I went and got my STCW, which is a sea safety, so you do firefighting, first aid, sea survival, safety at sea kind of thing. And then went down to the south of France and based myself in Antibes, and basically dock walked for 2.5 months and kept getting told, be a stewardess, don't be an engineer or a deckhand, be a stewardess. I don't want to be a stewardess, I don't want to be a cook, I want to be a deckhand, or I want to be an engineer. And then eventually finally got work, and then spent 7.5 years after that in the industry, but again another very, very male dominated on the deck department and engineering, so that was tough. But now there are a lot more females on deck, which is awesome. Engineers, sadly, we're still struggling with the numbers, in that department.
So did you do any study to become an engineer, or what? How does that happen?
So initially so I didn't become an engineer, but I did, so I got on and eventually started getting Dex 2 jobs, which is half and half, and learnt a lot as I went along. And then a couple of years, and then went and got my captain's license and my 200-ton offshore license, and that's Yacht Master 200-ton rating, so that you have to do navigation, you have to do docking, you have to do drills, all these other things.
Yeah.
And got that, and then worked in that for a few, with that ticket, which is a lot easier to get work when you've got that. And then started doing my qualifications up to get my Officer of the Watch tickets, which is probably about a 40 grand investment and a lot of study time to get that. So that was the ticket that I was on, working towards. So there was, I think, 8 modules, and I was working towards them before I left. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
You spent a lot of money and time and very much effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, although there were a lot of struggles and it was tough, I still wouldn't take all that time back. So
Yeah, but you had a good experience and
yeah.
partying. Were you partying every day?
No, like you work 18 hours a day.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the hours of work. So there's a terrible show called Below Deck. Never watch it.
Yeah.
It combines television and it combines yachting in the worst way possible. Reality TV and drama of yachting. And it does not show the industry quite as it is. And unfortunately that's done a lot of damage to the industry, that show. But it is a very work hard, play hard industry in itself, and unfortunately that burns a lot of people out, because sometimes you'll do 6 months, 8 months of no days off, 18-hour days, and it's just expected. Regulation wise, it's not really there so much, so you are expected to keep working no matter what, and keep going no matter what. And so there is a lot of mental health problems and a lot of burnout and a lot of that kind of stuff, because the expectation is just to, it's billionaires and there is never a no, so you just keep going. And we want this here now, you make it happen. So
Oh my god.
yeah.
And about where did you used to sleep? Like sleeping arrangements? Did you have any sickness due to sea or something like that?
Yeah, so on the boat itself, so the last boat I came off was a 43 metre boat, and it was a motor yacht, and so it was about 500 tonne, and we had basically the front half of the boat. Usually most boats are, the front half at the very bottom is all the crew quarters, and kind of get a cabin. My partner Dave and I shared the cabin on the last boat, which was awesome, because then it's like the space is shared, and you have an ensuite with a toilet, shower, everything, bathroom, and a cabin with 2 beds, and you have cupboards and stuff, but you also have a lot of uniform. So you have your on charter uniform, you have your off charter uniform, your on charter uniform, you have night clothes, day clothes, every even day, odd day clothes, 3 sets of shoes, your wet weather gear, your foulies, your swimming stuff, your everything. So your cabin is so tightly packed with all the stuff that you have to wear.
So you don't even had any casual clothes for yourself?
You do, just there's not much space for that.
So how did you manage in terms of space?
You get used to living with a lot less stuff. So when we first got to New Zealand, Dave and I hadn't lived in a house, and we got here and we hadn't lived in a house really ever. So we got here with our bags, and we're like, right, we only have 30 kgs of stuff.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, you gather a lot while you're there, but you make it your home and you make it your own. And usually crew quarters have got, you'll have your guest space, which is most of the boat, and sailboats and motor yachts are different, but then you have your crew quarters and stuff, and so you kind of make it your own. We had plants in there, we had a grow light for our plants and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of seasickness, you get you get used to balance, like you're used to being really balanced and stuff, so you're used to kind of counteracting. But we had a bosun who was on board, and he still was seasick after many years of working at sea. But only in really, really terrible conditions would I kind of get a bit seasick. But usually pretty alright.
And were you working during those very hard times as well, when there is very bad weather and you're facing a lot of trouble? You were working during that time too?
Yeah, like we had a few incidences like that. So we had, we did a trip from Miami to Bermuda, where we had, I think it was 4-7 or something, which is like really big seas, and the boat would do this, and so it was just like being in a bottle cap, and like the waves would like, so when you'd stand in the bridge, because I was an officer, or in the bridge, and so when you'd stand in the bridge and these waves would just go over the entire bow of the boat, and it could be quite scary. And then we had like fires on board. We never had flooding, but I ran lots of drills. Like that was one of my roles, was running the drills on board. So doing fire drills, doing abandoned ship, doing man overboard, doing every flooding, collision, being boarded by people.
So you already had leadership skills.
Yeah.
See, those are leadership skills.
Yeah.
Just it came because of I think working in a male-dominated industry, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it did. I mean, in terms of the role itself, it requires you to step up. You have to be in a leadership role anyway. Like you have to be able to take the leadership and take charge, especially if you are dealing with a medical emergency or a physical emergency, like a fire on board. You have to be able to step up and take responsibility of what you're doing. Otherwise, you can get yourself into trouble really quickly, and you need to be able to keep that safety and calmness rather than panic and that kind of stuff. So
that's so true. And I forgot about asking you, what is your next big gig coming for the TV industry? Where you doing the camera work?
Oh right, so was hoping to go to Japan for the Olympics, but actually probably not a bad idea this year, not doing that. But doing a couple of weeks of the Olympic work, and I don't know what else I've got going on for TV work wise. I think a few shoots, a few like motorsport and football and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
But Olympics is going to be a fun work, I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's a bit format, but it should be cool. Like, it should be cool to be able to do that. I think the shifts are like 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. So, and that's
7 p.m. to 2 a.m.
That's because it's in Japan, so we have to cover. And, but yeah, so that I think that's the next stuff coming up for TV work anyway. So yeah.
And then, what did you do after leaving TV? Not the TV industry, the sea industry.
Yeah, so when I went to leave the yachting industry, that's when I really was like, oh, where do I go? What do I do? And that last year was really tough. Like, it was really tough. And I had been bullied a lot by the chief stew on the last boat. And so I got to a point where I was like, I really had an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was good at anymore. I had no real self-esteem left. I had, my positivity was gone. And as a person who loves to see the beauty and the excitement in life, and it wasn't there at all anymore. And it took me a lot to work out what to do. And that was in that time while I sort of figured myself out, and then went, okay, we've got a gap in the market. No one's getting supported when they go to leave this industry. There's support when you come into it, there's support during it, but when you go to leave, it's just like jumping off a cliff. Kind of, there's nothing there. And in that time, it was kind of like, well, people need help. I love helping people. This makes sense, and it makes a little bit too much sense that it would be there as a gap to fill. So yeah, in establishing that, it's been awesome because the crew that are coming off the boats are so talented and so skilled and so professional at what they do. It's like, if anyone is out there and they're needing someone good, get a yacht ex-yachty, because they are very efficient, very onto it, very able to do 1,000 things at the same time very quickly, When I ran my first cleanup with Keep Hamilton Beautiful, I talked to the people from Keep New Zealand Beautiful, and I said, oh, I'm doing a cleanup, and they said, oh yeah, when you run one, down the track. And I said, no, I'm going to do it next week. And they said, no, like that's much too soon. I said, no, I'm used to working in live television and in the super yacht industry. I'll do one next week, but I'll run a practice one this weekend. And so you get really efficient at getting a lot of stuff done really quickly and at a really high level. So now it's like helping people really get clear on who they are, because I think if you don't know internally who you are, then you spend a lot of your life, like if you don't know your internal compass, then you spend a lot of life seeking and going, oh, I'm not like, this doesn't quite fit, but I don't know why. And yet when you use your strengths and your skills and the things that you're actually naturally talented and good at, and you're doing things that motivate and drive you, I think there's so much more potential that person can go so much further in life, because you've got, like, you're just utilizing yourself rather than trying to fit into like a box of what you think you should be doing. And I think what I saw a lot of people do was, when they came out of the industry, they would go and replicate what they were doing on the boat. They'd replicate that on shore. And in trying to do that, they would go into a job that had taken, it looked the same job, so they'd go into management of something, or they would go into like private estate kind of work. So they're taking the job, they're stripping off all the good stuff about it, and doing the same job on land, and now you've got none of the community, you've got none of the travel, you've got none of the like funding, and you don't actually have the joy of it, and so you've got this job. So then, rather than figuring themselves out, they've just replicated it, and then they hate this, so they go back, and now there's like a resentment going back, because it's kind of that, I feel like I've failed, and that shame, and that is something that I want to eliminate, because I don't think people should feel bad about using and utilizing their skills while they progress out. So
That's interesting to know. And in terms of when you were living on the sea and living on land, how's it different?
well, I can stand up and walk out a door. Like that's...
Were you really like struggling as well when you started living on the land, because obviously there's no travel and something like that, personally that's why you started the coaching, but still practically, what do you think about that?
It's funny, some of the things, like I miss being, Hamilton is very far from the ocean. I miss being surrounded by water all the time. I love the fact that you can actually walk, like you can grab a glass of wine and walk out the door, and you can sit down and you don't have, like, there's nothing above you. That's a really thing that yacht crew will understand. Other people probably will never understand what I mean by that. You can sit on a couch and not have something directly in front of you, like you can put your legs out. That is something that ironically is really good. The fact that I can like cook for myself again is amazing, because it's like when you've had 8 years of someone else cooking for you and controlling what you eat, that is like, you don't have any control over your own food or what you eat or where it comes from or anything like that.
So whatever is cooked on the yacht, you have to eat that.
Yeah, like I mean, the chefs usually have to provide a couple of proteins, a couple of veggie options, and like a whole bunch of things.
Like a diet food.
Yeah, well, they provide a whole bunch of different things, but a lot of times it's like there's no choice that you have behind that. And I know that can sound a bit, to someone who's not been in that industry, that can sound like bliss, having someone else cook for you all the time. But actually, it really takes away the independence and autonomy that you have over your own life. And so what I've found a lot of crew have done when they've come out is they really are seeking independence. So that's why a lot of them go into entrepreneurial careers and want to do their own thing, because they don't want their life dictated by someone else anymore. And I think whilst you're at sea, that does tend to be the case quite often, because everything is made, like you are very much under someone else's guidelines and someone else's time frame and someone else's everything.
It's like a prison only.
Yeah. Well, I say, like, a lot of times it's like the prison effect. When you come out, you don't know how to function, and like you haven't done land-based stuff for a long time, and when you get out, you don't know how to function in this outside world. So people re-offend or do something and end up back in the industry or back in prison, which is not necessarily what it is, but sometimes it can feel like that. So.
Yeah. Very, very interesting stories, eh?
Mm.
You might be having a lot of stories that you have been through.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of different things.
And so, if somebody wants to get hold of you for the coaching, how do you do that?
Yeah, so I do, with my coaching, I do a bunch of different things. So
What's the name of the coaching business?
So Anna Petchell Coaching is what it's all under.
Anna Petchell Coaching.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And so Anna Petchell Coaching, and my signature program is helping people create their ideal life. So going from a place where you're confused and you're lost and you don't know where to go or what to do, to going, okay, let's figure out who you are, discover your inner compass first, then let's go and explore all the things that you've ever been interested in, like really get into what that looks like and what those different work themes are. And then let's create a plan. Like, where are you now? Where do you want to get to? Let's create you getting there. So the reason I think that's so different than typical career advising and stuff prior or outside of this is because that the typical way of other career advice is, here's a list of jobs, let's figure out which one we can put you in. Whereas I think it's better to figure out the person and go, okay, let's create a life around you. What do you actually want so that you can satisfy yourself? And then let's figure out what that looks like. And that can be so many different things. It can be, you can be doing like yourself and myself, like doing multiple different things. You can be doing freelance work, you can be doing contract work, you can be doing your own business, you can be working for a small business, a corporate business, a global business, an online business, a non-profit, a charity. There's so many other things that you can do, and I think traditionally career advisors don't look at that, and so that's my main thing.
And I do remember I was interviewing somebody last week, and he was telling me, it's like my career advisor in school told him that he's going to be a warehouse person, I think, warehouse something, warehouse assistant, and today he is one of the millionaires in New Zealand and living in US and all of those stuff. And I was like, oh my god, then that means there is a gap in the market around the school kids as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they are demotivated before even they can think about their life.
That is one of the core reasons I'm doing what I'm doing. So like for Yacht Crew, but also at an early age, if people really, like, there is so much poor career advice, and that's not to blame schools and teachers, but these people aren't trained in, like, they're trained in something else. They're trained in social sciences, or they're trained in history or English or whatever. They're not trained as career advisors. And at that point, no one is sitting there looking at the person on a holistic approach and going, who are you? What do you actually enjoy? What motivates you? People are so different and so unique and amazing that if we were to actually look at people where they thrive and strive and what their actual skills and their actual strengths, that would be a whole lot different than what people come out thinking. And I know when I went to leave and I was talking to the career advisor, and she was... I said, I want to be a television director. And she said, oh, well, go to Waikato and do a media arts degree. Could have been the worst option I had have ever chosen if I had have gone down that path. Because that was absolutely not related. Maybe it's in the same space, but it doesn't have anything to do with actually getting into directing or television work.
So, you mean all of the things that you have done, you haven't taken, obviously you have studied, but you haven't taken proper education for that. You're learning it while you're doing it, right? Or did you?
I went to AUT and did a communications degree, and that got me into television.
Yeah.
And then doing yachting, I went and did industry-specific training.
Yeah.
Doing coaching, I've done industry-specific training within that.
But it's not like, education system you're following. You created your own education system in a different way.
Yeah, or finding okay, this is what I want to do. And then finding, I think insight interviews are one of the best things that I encourage everyone to do. If you're going into a career, find people in that space and then start talking to them, like, oh, you know, how did you get into this? What would you recommend? What other alternative ways are there to get in? Like, are there any courses? Are there any new things? There's so much online training that you can do for free these days. There's so much online training that you can do that really will get you set up into the right space. Or actually finding a mentor in that space that can help you. I think that's far more efficient and effective than going and doing a 3-year degree or 5-year degree in a lot of countries.
And get the student loan.
Yeah, getting yourself a student loan, which actually, that's not, in some ways, it might be the right thing for certain people. And also, like at school, how many times do people actually advise, oh, every university gives out scholarships? Didn't know that until I was there for a couple of years, and then they're like, oh, you could have got a scholarship to come here. Would have been good to know. So there's a lot of ways to do things that don't have to be, I want to change careers, therefore I need to go and start at the bottom and do this whole 3-year degree to get into it. So I think, there's so many alternative options to do that hopefully, like this new generation of like creative thinkers and stuff are going down that path.
Definitely. And your regarding your coaching program, is it 12 weeks or is it a group program or is it
so
personal training, personal mentoring?
So that is a 12-week program, and that's as flexible because working at sea is I do it with other people, not just yacht crew. So anyone else who's going through the same, they're a bit lost and confused. I help them go through the same training. But it is 12 weeks, flexible to however long. Some people do it over 6 months, some people do it over 2.5 months. It kind of depends. So that's some people fast track it and do a 9-week program. At the moment, I'm in the process of putting it online. So that first stage that they can do, like buy that and actually do it on their own, or include coaching as well. And then I also run workshops, so 90-minute workshops. I do those mainly on Zoom, so that global audience, but I also run those in person.
Before we go further, this 12-week program, is it personally you're giving to each person, or is it a group?
So this is one-on-one, but I also do group coaching as well. And so I have a group coaching program where people go through that same first stage together. But then the second and third stage at the moment is different.
What about the pricing? Is it fixed or is it different on every person?
No, there's a fixed pricing initially, but then depending on if someone's already done a lot of the stuff at the start, then we kind of flex it and move it around according to them.
So you make changes according to talking to them and see what works for them?
Yeah, because sometimes you have to be flexible. As a business owner, you can't necessarily sit hard. Well, I personally don't think. I think everyone's unique and individual, and so some people come to you and they, you have your starting price, and some people that will work and some people that really won't work for them. And so to be able to be flexible, and ultimately my aim is to be able to have a bigger impact and purpose, like bigger impact on more people. And if that means that I need to lower my prices for certain people, then that's okay. That might be different in the future when I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of clients, but and more of it is group. But for the moment, I think you have to be a bit more flexible in order to be able to help more people, because I would hate for someone to not come to me because price was an issue, but they needed the help.
That's true.
I'd rather be able to have that impact on someone than,
And what about those workshops? What kind of workshops are these? Are these 90 minutes that you're doing?
So I have a series of 5 workshops, and one is, so I don't know if you've heard about Ikigai, which my version is Discover Your Inner Compass. So we look at strengths, skills. It's kind of like the first part of my program into a 90-minute, and it's a very brief way to do it, to really get an essence of who you are.
And how do we come? How do we know you're running these workshops?
Yeah, so on my website, as well as on my Facebook and Instagram, I advertise them, and if anyone wants to get in contact, they can do that as well.
I will leave the link in the YouTube video and your details as well. About your website, your Facebook and your Instagram, so
And
that
LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn as well, so that they can get in touch
Perfect.
with you.
Perfect.
Because it's very important to discuss what good things you do, because the thing is, people don't understand the things that you're talking about. You have experienced it, and I can help these things. And when you talk about the pricing, they're like, oh, we can't do it, but they don't understand you have done it and you're excelling at it. How you do it? Because been through, done that, so they don't understand. Experience costs a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, if I was talking to a girl the other night and she said, oh, that's a lot, and I said, it is, and I went through that same thought process myself, and I said, I'm never going to pressure you on anything, but I said, I talked to myself when I finally signed up, and when I finally got coaching, and I sat there and I looked 6 months back of myself contemplating and umming and ahhing and then eventually choosing it. I was like, I could have had all this solved 6 months ago had I actually just invested in myself. And I think that whole investment in ourselves, sometimes we're really willing to spend money and go out and buy some nice clothes or go on a nice holiday or something like that, but when it comes to our own personal growth and personal development, things that will truly make a change in our lives, we don't invest in that, and that's a bit of a shame.
And people don't understand. Yeah, right now it's a big amount, I understand, but they don't understand this thing, that what they are putting it right now, it's gonna give them seeds, I would say, flowers, or trees, like anything for the whole, like, next 10 years. You will make, like, sometimes people buy a laptop, for example, and they use it for 3 years or 4 years, but they don't understand that same laptop they bought for $2,000, they have actually earned, I don't know how much money out of it. How
If you hadn't have invested at that point.
Yeah. So this is like an investment. If you don't do investment in you today, who's going to do it?
And no one's going to do it. That's the whole point with, I think, personal development, especially in New Zealand as itself. I know in the States and the UK and Europe there's a different approach to personal development than there is in New Zealand, and I know a lot of Kiwis are less willing to invest in themselves, and which is a real shame, because I think that's part of the problem that we have. I think that's part of, like, the reason why we have such strong, like, and such big mental health problems, because people aren't actually investing in themselves, and they are seeking external everything rather than actually spending some time to invest in themselves. But they're going in, buying something new, buying a new car, buying a new something, and actually when you stop and actually put it back into yourself, there's probably a lot more value that can be invested back into you.
Yeah.
So,
That's the thing. So interesting to have this conversation and talk about it. So how much? So do you run these workshops every month or every week, or how does that work?
once I'm back in the UK, they'll be running monthly. At the moment, they're on a bit of pause just while I'm doing Keep Hamilton Beautiful and Waikato Women in Business. But once I'm back in the UK, they will be monthly things that people can buy, and then there's also going to be, you might be able to do webinars where they're recorded, and that's a lower fee.
So when are you going back to UK?
The end of August.
Oh no,
So.
we are losing on a gem. Oh, that's not fair. You gave
I'm
us
still online.
But still, who will be running Waikato business, and who will be doing Keep New Zealand Beautiful? Nah, Hamilton Beautiful.
So at the moment I'm in the process. So my co-founder Sarah and I, who started Waikato Women in Business together, we're in the process of creating a team together to keep that going and up and running, because I think we've got such a, the purpose behind that was to connect, empower and support women. And so we're getting together reps from different areas to run different events and stuff, and keep that up and going. And when I come back in 6 or 8 months time, then I'll be able to keep that going. The same with Keep Hamilton Beautiful. I'm in the process of with the Tetra Pak pickup, as well as the cleanups and all the media, and I've been doing I've established a lot of things. Now it just needs the ability to keep these things running.
Yes.
So
And
use your skills and use your strengths, and then put your weaknesses into other people who then they use their strengths to keep things going.
And interesting. You're going to be really busy as well. Running all of these things, it's not easy.
No.
But really appreciate the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not easy thing to, talk about it, discuss about it, and then make it happen. So I love your passion. I'm so motivated today. And I hope people who are watching get motivated as well. Lastly, I want to know 5 takeaways from Anna Petchell.
Ooh. 5 takeaways.
Yes, that's the end of the. Whenever I end this, I always talk about 5 takeaways from one person.
5 takeaways. 5 takeaways I would say is know who you are. Like, know who you truly are. Because when you work out who you are, then you can just be the best version of you. And you don't, there's no need to compare anymore. You can't have really self-doubt when that's happening. Because you're just doing you. And you're not trying to be anyone else. I think that is probably one of the biggest things. Don't be scared of the unknown. Be adaptable and flexible and resourceful. Everyone's got the ability to figure out an answer. And if you see a problem, work out how to solve it rather than going, why is there this issue? Go, how can I solve this issue? Rather than going, why is it me? Go, how can I change? What can I do to get out of this? So be resourceful with there's so many opportunities out there.
Number 4.
Number 4. Travel and experience things. I know COVID's going on at the moment, and it still is, and it still will be, but there's so much that travel expands your mind, and it opens your mind, and talk to people and meet people and try new things. By trying new things and trying new places and trying, just put yourself out of your comfort zone, if that is your comfort zone. Within that, step out every now and then, because it's trying that new thing that you haven't done before can just broaden your mind in such a way, and talking to that new person can just expand your mind to something that someone else is experiencing that you might not have ever thought about. And just being open-minded to that, because I think sometimes people go, well, this is how it is. And it's it might be, but how about trying it a different way? You never know what the other side might be. So, learn to kite surf and learn to snowboard. They're the most amazing sports in the world.
So you have to teach me. I don't know how to do snowboarding.
Excellent. It started to snow already.
Yes. So let me know when we can plan next trip.
Yeah.
And can we do a giveaway with your workshops maybe?
Yeah.
Can we give it to 2 people?
Yeah.
Which workshop are you giving?
I guess Discover Your Inner Compass workshop would probably be the best thing. Is 2 people if they, however you operate, but if 2 people want to do my Discover Your Inner Compass, I think that is one of the best places to start. Okay. And just to get an idea of who you are, because when you figure that out, then you're not like a boat lost at sea going, where do I go, what do I do, sitting in this marina kind of washing around. You know who you are, you've got some direction. So yeah.
Perfect. That will be amazing. Thank you so much, Anna, for your time today, and it means a lot, obviously, because this thing is going to actually help a lot of women as well, because I love supporting us because obviously we are a different kind of species on this earth, and we get a lot of negligence as well, but still we try doing our best what we can, and you being a great example, I would say.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you. And can you please ask my followers to like, subscribe and comment?
To mine or yours?
Mine.
Please, if you are watching this, please like and subscribe and follow and give this a thumbs up and share it with all your friends, because that's how these sort of things spread and get the word out there. So if this has been useful to any of you, please do share that around.
Thank you, Anna, again for your time. And for you guys, I will be putting all the information about Anna and her programs on this video, and I will be sharing it on my Facebook page as well, Harshmeen Kaur, and we will be running this giveaway for you guys. Please like and follow Anna's page and her Instagram, and like the video, subscribe the channel, and you going to win the this giveaway, and really want you to do these workshops, just because if you can't afford the program, but these workshops can actually help you. Honestly, I have done these kind of workshops, and this actually helps. I had no purpose like for me 2 years ago, but I did work on myself, and today I'm running all of these things and doing all of these things. And when Anna is talking about it, it makes more sense as well, because she is doing it and she has been through that as well. So please do us a favor, please get in touch with us, do some workshops, and or if you can afford the program, please do the
Or
program
just-
as well.
Or just if they are looking for having, I offer a free discovery call. So if people are just feeling a little bit confused or lost and just don't know, even if it's the right thing, and you want some coaching and you just want some support or some help, I run accountability groups, and I run just one-on-one, just working together, because I think sometimes you're not really sure if it's like the big investment that you want to make, but you might want to just start somewhere. So yeah, get in touch and we can have a call.
Yes, please get in touch with Anna and talk to her and see how she can help you. And I can tell you this for sure, she can help you. She's not just talking in in terms of talking it, but her experience is what makes her so different. And what she's teaching, she learned everything during her experience. So please contact Anna for more information, and all the information will be there in the video. Thank you, see ya, and you have a wonderful day.